Buying something online can be a gamble, but for one woman, a simple purchase turned her life into a nightmare. She thought she'd scored a great deal. A used washing machine at an unbeatable price. What could go wrong? It arrived quickly, but her excitement disappeared the moment she opened the box. The machine was completely broken, barely held together. She tried contacting the seller, but he was nowhere to be found. Not one to let things slide, she started digging. She searched for his name online, hoping to find clues, and stumbled across dozens of complaints. Other buyers had been scammed by the same person. Fueled by anger, she decided to warn others, leaving comments and sharing her experience online. But then came the first warning. A message popped up on her phone. "Stop what you're doing or you'll regret it." She laughed it off, thinking it was just another petty scammer trying to scare her. She didn't know then that this man was far from ordinary. He was someone who didn't take kindly to being challenged. Her phone wouldn't stop ringing. Her number had been posted online, claiming she was giving away free products. People were calling, texting, and demanding things she didn't even own. Then came the deliveries packages she didn't order, food she didn't ask for. It seemed harmless at first, until a man showed up at her door claiming he was sent for a one-night stand. Confused and terrified, she demanded to know who sent him. The answer shook her. "Your boyfriend arranged this for you." She knew immediately it was the scammer. He wasn't just trying to scare her, he was playing with her life. Then came another text. "You have 5 minutes to send me 5 million won, or things will get worse." Frozen with fear, she didn't respond. The 5 minutes passed, and her phone froze completely. That's when another stranger showed up at her door, banging on it, trying to get in. She was about to break down when the police arrived just in time, taking the man away. But her relief was short-lived. She tried to regain some sense of... But then came the most horrifying discovery of all. As investigators pieced together the case, they revealed who this man really was. He wasn't just a scammer, he was a serial killer, someone who targeted his victims online. The washing machine she'd bought, it belonged to one of his victims. Her heart sank as she realized how close she'd come to becoming his next target, but the terror wasn't over yet. She tried to regain some sense of normalcy, but something felt off. When she returned home, it looked like someone had been there. Her kitchen was a mess. Food had been eaten, and it felt like she wasn't alone. Then she noticed Ida camera hidden on the ceiling. Terrified, she searched her house and found cameras hidden in every room. The realization hit her hard. The scammer had been watching her the entire time. One night, as she was trying to figure out her next move, she felt that someone was behind her. She turned around, and there he was, standing in her living room. Before she could scream, he lunged toward her. But luck was on her side. A detective who had been following the case had been tailing the scammer and arrived just in time. A chase broke out, and the scammer narrowly escaped, leaving her shaken but alive. Determined to put an end to the nightmare, she decided to lure the scammer into a trap. With the help of a detective, she created a fake identity and contacted him as a potential buyer. To her relief, the scammer fell for it and agreed to meet. But as the meeting time approached, things started to go wrong. The detective got stuck in traffic, leaving her to face the scammer alone. Fear crept in as she realized that he might recognize her. When they met, his unsettling gaze told her the truth Euro. He already knew who she was. Thinking quickly, she pretended to stay calm and convinced him to deliver the item to her apartment. As soon as she returned home, she tried calling the detective again, but it was too late. The scammer had already followed her into the apartment. Suddenly he attacked her, beating her mercilessly. She fought back with everything she had, but his strength overwhelmed her. Just when she thought it was the end, the detective burst into the room. A brutal fight broke out between the scammer and the detective. The struggle moved dangerously close to the window. In a desperate move to save her, the detective shoved the scammer, sending him plummeting off the building. But in the chaos, the detective also lost his balance and fell with him. As she looked down, she saw both men lying lifeless on the ground. For the first time in days, she could finally breathe again, knowing the nightmare was truly over.